Your money looks clean. But what if it isn't? What if Wall Street is quietly powered by cartels? This isn't conspiracy. It's dark money hiding in plain sight. Money laundering doesn't happen in alleys anymore. It happens through global banking, real estate, and investments. Cartel finance fuels markets you trust with your future. Pensions, stocks, luxury towers, all connected. The hidden economy isn't broken. It's designed on it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stay with me. This story changes everything.
Have you ever looked at the money in your wallet or the numbers on your bank screen and wondered if it really holds any value, or if it's all just a fragile illusion that everyone pretends to believe? It's a terrifying thought, because your life, your savings, and your future might be resting on something far more unstable than the news would ever dare to admit. And what if I told you that the financial strain you feel isn't an accident, but a repetition of a script written centuries ago? Stay with me until the end of this video, because you're about to discover how corporations, governments, and even secret organizations secretly shape the economy you think you understand, and why almost no one notices it in time. Most people go through life treating the economy like the weather, something that just happens, unpredictable and out of our control. But deep down, everyone senses that something is off. Prices rise, the dream of owning a home drifts further away, and the middle class shrinks before our eyes. You work harder than ever, but your money seems to slip through your fingers. This isn't just inflation. It's not just market volatility. It's a much deeper structural shift that has happened countless times throughout history, and it always ends the same way. Wealth flowing from the many into the hands of a few. From ancient Rome, which debased its own currency, to financial bubbles that toppled entire nations, the pattern repeats itself. History doesn't exactly repeat, it rhymes. And those who know the rhythm can protect themselves while the majority is caught off guard. Today, decisions made far from your eyes, in closed rooms by people you never elected, determine how much your money is worth, how much you can buy, and even the kind of future you can expect for yourself and your family. It sounds complex, it sounds distant, and that's exactly why almost no one pays attention. But understanding this mechanism changes everything. When you see how the system truly operates, the chaos of the news cycle starts to make sense. Nothing is random. Crises, market crashes, currency collapses all follow a deliberate logic. And here's the uncomfortable truth. What you're about to discover might contradict everything you learned in school, or everything your financial advisor has ever told you. It will unsettle you. It will make you uncomfortable. But that discomfort has a name: awakening. So I leave you with two simple but powerful questions. Who really benefits when a currency loses value? Who comes out richer when the market crashes? The answers aren't in today's headlines. They're buried in the dusty pages of financial history. And to understand where we are heading now, we first need to go back to the exact point where it all began. Because this story doesn't start with a collapse. It starts with a silent promise, still present in your pocket today, even if you don't realize it. As we reflect on that, remember that these experiences, though personal, are the invisible threads connecting us all. If this resonates with you, hit the like button now and comment "I see" to show that you're with me. It might feel small, but it's the heartbeat of this channel, helping these stories reach those who need them most. And subscribe, not just for the next video, but to stand together as we uncover the hidden truths shaping our world. Your voice brings this community to life, turning a single video into something bigger. So join in, speak up, and be part of what's happening here. You have to understand, we're not talking about the Hollywood version of crime. Speedboats, shadowy deals, or dramatic shootouts. That story is outdated. The real transformation came when the cartels realized violence is bad for business, and integration is the ultimate growth strategy. They stopped fighting the system and became the system. It's a mindset shift rivaling the most aggressive corporate restructurings in the Fortune 500. The only difference between illegal proceeds and legitimate capital is the story you tell about where it came from. And money doesn't have a conscience. It just flows to the highest yield. The most terrifying part isn't the violence, it's how mundane it has become. Today's most successful criminals don't look like criminals. They look like venture capitalists, angel investors, sitting in glass-walled offices in London, Dubai, and New York, making decisions that ripple through the global economy. Billions of dollars are being laundered, not hidden under mattresses, but turned into assets, real estate, tech startups, agricultural futures. This is the hidden truth financial analysts are too polite or too scared to speak about. The global economy depends on this liquidity. Remove it suddenly, and the crash would make 2008 look minor. And this is where it becomes personal. Distancing yourself from a drug lord is easy. Distancing yourself from the economy you live in is impossible. The mechanism is sophisticated. Trade-based money laundering moves value across borders through inflated or deflated pricing. That value settles in stocks, bonds, and the financial instruments your pension fund managers are buying. They seek growth in a world where organic growth is scarce, and they often don't ask the hard questions. They see the yield, they buy, and the cycle continues. Here's the revelation. Your retirement plan, your 401k, the nest egg you're nurturing, might be partially fueled by the criminal enterprises you despise. It's a silent partnership. You provide legitimacy, they provide liquidity. When a cartel launders money through a massive avocado farm, that farm becomes part of a publicly traded conglomerate, and your 401k owns stock. You are technically profiting from their operation. The lines between good and bad have blurred to invisibility. Look at major city real estate. Luxury skyscrapers stand mostly empty, yet prices rise. Who's buying? Not always tech billionaires. It's often holding companies funded by operations that would make your stomach turn. Yet these purchases drive up property values, fund local schools, and increase equity for everyday homeowners. The corruption isn't a cancer, it's the bloodstream. Willful blindness rules. Banks, regulators, governments know this is happening. But the volume of money creates conflicts of interest. Cutting off the flow would trigger recession. So fines are issued, just a cost of doing business, and the cycle continues. A moral vacuum reigns, measured only by quarterly reports. It's heavy to realize the safety net we're building for old age is woven with threads leading to the underworld. But facing this reality is the first step to understanding how the world truly works. It changes how you perceive wealth in the modern age. If this perspective is making you rethink the financial system, drop the word pipeline in the comments right now. Follow the trail with me. But here's the real question. If the system is this compromised, what happens when the criminals pull their money out? Or worse, when they own so much of the legitimate world that hiding is no longer necessary? That is the nightmare intelligence agencies cannot stop thinking about, and it exposes a vulnerability almost no one talks about. You stare at the screen, and red is the only color that seems to exist. It's not just a chart anymore. It's a physical sensation, a tightening in your chest, because what's disappearing isn't just money. It's your time. Your effort, the vacation you promised your family, the house you imagined, the freedom you've been chasing for years. When we talk about the blood in your portfolio, we're not talking about percentages or market corrections. We're talking about the emotional cost of playing a game where the rules change the moment you think you understand them. And here's the part no one tells you. This pain is not accidental. You'll never see influencers posting screenshots of liquidation emails or admitting they panic sold at the bottom. That silence matters, because it convinces people that loss equals failure, that blood should be hidden, ignored, erased from memory. But that belief is a trap. Blood is not shame, it's tuition. Tuition paid to the most expensive school on earth. And here's the cliffhanger no one prepares you for. Those who refuse to study the lesson are doomed to pay it again. When you're bleeding financially, your brain doesn't think long-term. It switches to survival mode. 5-year plans vanish. All that matters is stopping the pain now. That's where the worst decisions are born. You dump solid assets because volatility feels unbearable. Or you double down on bad bets praying for a miracle that never comes. The spiral feeds itself. Because the market isn't a casino, it's a machine designed to transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The blood you see is often the fuel for the next rise, if it doesn't drown you first. The market is ruthless, but it's fair in one brutal way. It exposes conviction. If you bought something because a stranger online promised it would moon, the first sign of blood will break you. Borrowed conviction collapses under pressure. Real conviction only comes from understanding. This is the trap nobody warns you about. Charts won't save you. Indicators won't save you. Without a thesis, without armor, every red candle feels like a threat to your survival. Think about your last big loss. Did you analyze it, or did you try to forget it ever happened? Did you blame manipulation, whales, the news, or did you look inward? Because this is where the shift happens. The market is a mirror. If you're greedy, it will punish greed. If you're fearful, it will exploit fear. If you're undisciplined, it will take your money and hand it to someone who mastered themselves. That's why technical analysis fails so many people. You can draw perfect lines, but if your hand shakes when it's time to act, those lines are useless. Most people quit when they see blood. They say the market is rigged, crypto is a scam, investing is fake, and they retreat to the sidelines. But this is the separation point. The few who stay, who look at the wreckage and decide to rebuild with a better blueprint, are the ones who eventually find what they were looking for. Institutions are counting on you quitting. Smart money waits for capitulation. They know maximum fear is maximum opportunity. And they know human psychology makes it almost impossible to act rationally when you're the one bleeding. So how do you break the cycle? Here's the trap again. It's not about prediction. It's about preparation. You stop being liquidity for someone else's exit when you audit your portfolio brutally. Not just what you own, but why you own it. What invalidates the thesis? If it drops 50% tomorrow, did the story change, or is it just cheaper? If you can't answer instantly, you're walking through a minefield blindfolded. The shift happens when red stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like information. This is the hardest transformation an investor ever makes. Losses stop being the opposite of success and become part of the process. Hype fades, noise disappears. What remains is discipline. Real conviction isn't diamond hands memes, it's evidence-based confidence. It's knowing what you hold so deeply that price fluctuations lose their power over you. But first, you have to face the blood. Own it, learn from it, forgive yourself, and rebuild with clarity you didn't have before. This is the backstage reality of wealth creation. It's messy, it's painful, it's a war against your own instincts. But once you win that war, the market changes. It stops being a casino and becomes a tool. You stop being prey and start becoming deliberate. And this is only the beginning. Understanding the pain is step one. Understanding how to reverse it. That's where the real game starts. If you're still here, if you're ready to face this reality and not look away, drop the word unbreakable in the comments right now. Let's see who didn't flinch. That was the moment everything snapped into perspective, but not with fireworks or grand epiphanies. It was quiet, almost disturbingly silent. I sat there staring at the results, or rather, the lack of them, and realized the math didn't add up. I had followed all the rules, ticked all the boxes, sacrificed weekends, done the grind. Yet reality stared back, misaligned with every expectation. That's when it hit me. For years, I had been obsessing over the mechanics while ignoring the driver. The internal system running my mind was quietly sabotaging everything the moment I looked away. The external hustle was visible, but the real enemy was hidden. Here's a truth few dare to admit. We are often addicted to our own struggles. It sounds insane, but think about it. The chaos, the almost there moments, the tension of being on the edge without crossing over. It creates comfort in discomfort, justification for delay, a reason to wait. Waiting for a sign, waiting for luck, waiting for permission. But really, we resist the death of the old self that transformation demands. To reach the next level, your current self must fundamentally change. There's no room for both old and new. I looked at my patterns and saw the invisible ceiling I had built. It wasn't the market, the economy, or luck. It was the subconscious agreements I made with myself about how much success I could handle. That's why self-sabotage strikes just when things are about to take off. The brain retreats into comfort, even if comfort is mediocrity. Breaking this cycle isn't about positive thinking or minor tweaks. It's a complete rewiring of perception, a commitment to paths of maximum growth that feel uncomfortable and risky. Most think decisions are monumental acts, signing a contract or quitting a job. But real destiny-shaping decisions are micro-decisions made when no one is watching. Choosing focus over distraction, speaking up instead of staying quiet, accepting full responsibility instead of blaming circumstances. These small, invisible choices compound, and when I realized this, everything changed. I stopped chasing the big break and started fixing the tiny fractures in my daily discipline. The transformation comes from removing friction caused by hesitation, not adding more to your plate. Peeling back these layers reveals a startling fact. The revelations we search for externally are buried inside, under fear and resistance. The villain in your story isn't out there, it's you. But here's the liberation. If you are the problem, you are also the solution. You don't wait for the world to change, you change the lens through which you engage it. This isn't a buzzword. It's a biological and psychological necessity for anyone refusing to stay average. The system is designed to sedate, distract, and keep you compliant. Breaking free isn't just about money or fame. It's rebellion against passivity. Then there's the emotional toll. Elevating your standards creates loneliness and resistance. Others will push back, project limitations, and try to slow you down. The shock isn't difficulty. It's that difficulty is the point. Friction is the filter. Without challenge, achievement has no value. The very barrier you face is what protects the worth of the outcome. Think back to the last time you truly committed. No turning back, no safety net. That energy vibrates differently. That is the state we must access as default, shifting from transactional effort to transformational identity. This is the secret the top 1% guard. They don't work harder for guaranteed success. They work harder because it aligns with who they are. It is inseparable from their identity. Now here's the trigger that separates dreamers from doers, and it's something you can activate right now. If you're ready to stop negotiating with your potential and demand it, drop the word shift in the comments. Let's see who is truly stepping into their power. You have to stop focusing on the surface of this game, because that's exactly where your attention is meant to stay. We're taught to see the underworld and Wall Street as opposites, one dark and violent, the other clean and prestigious. But that belief is the illusion. Strip away the suits, the marble floors, the street imagery, and look only at how they operate. What you find is unsettling. It's not about morality. It's about method, growth at all costs, absolute loyalty, complex supply chains, humans reduced to assets and liabilities. The mindset that builds a cartel is disturbingly similar to the mindset that conquers a boardroom. Cold calculation, emotional detachment, the ability to see leverage where others only see danger. Now pause for a second and think about what happens when money moves from the street into the system. We like to believe that once cash enters a bank, it's somehow purified, that the ledger washes away its past. But here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. The banking system isn't a filter, it's a mixer. It survives on liquidity, not morality. Money isn't interrogated, it isn't asked where it came from. It's absorbed, blended, and redistributed. And this is where the illusion really cracks. The chaotic energy of the illicit world becomes fuel for the pristine engines of global finance. One cannot exist at its current scale without the quiet tolerance of the other. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. Why does this keep happening over and over again? Because ambition doesn't change, only the costume does. We argue endlessly about street hustlers versus corporate greed, but they are cut from the same cloth. Power is the destination. The vehicle, hedge fund or trafficking network, is determined by access and environment. Throughout history, the difference between brilliant business and criminal conspiracy has often come down to who writes the laws and who can afford the lawyers. And once you see that, the world never looks the same again. This is the moment most people turn away, because it shatters the comforting idea that there are clear good guys and bad guys. We want guardians at the gates. But what happens when you realize the gates are held open for a price? Suddenly, the question isn't, how did they get caught? It becomes, why were they allowed to operate for so long? And the answer almost always leads back to the same place: symbiosis. The illicit world needs legitimacy to enjoy its wealth. The legitimate world needs massive, constant liquidity to keep growing. They feed each other. Look at risk for a moment. In the underworld, a mistake can cost freedom or life. On Wall Street, it can cost reputation or billions. Different consequences, same adrenaline, same obsession with outmaneuvering rivals, same psychological profile. That's why people cross between these worlds so easily. Skills transfer, negotiation, pressure, logistics, laundering. Call it different names, but the mechanics are identical. And if you trace the roots of many great fortunes far enough back, you'll often find something dirty buried under layers of restructuring, philanthropy, and time. Crime doesn't disappear. It evolves. Money buys cleanliness. Here's the realization that truly unsettles people. The system depends on this friction. Remove every illicit dollar from the global economy tomorrow, and the collapse would be historic. Trillions vanish. Real estate implodes. Luxury markets freeze. Startups suffocate. The system isn't built to reject this money. It's built to absorb it. That's why the story of Underworld versus Wall Street is theater, a distraction. While attention stays on the stage, the real deals happen backstage. And backstage, the only unforgivable sins are getting caught or losing money. Understanding this isn't about becoming bitter or cynical. It's about becoming awake. The suit is a costume. The hoodie is a costume. Beneath both is the same drive to conquer, accumulate, and secure territory. Money is the universal passport that dissolves borders, morals, and labels. Once you see that, connections appear everywhere, in policy, in cities, in who is protected and who is punished. It's heavy, but it's clarity. And clarity is the only way to see the board as it really is. And now that the illusion is cracking, there's a deeper question we have to confront next. How does this money actually move, quietly, efficiently, without setting off alarms? Because the real power isn't just in earning it, it's in making it invisible. If this shattered part of the illusion for you, drop the word visibility in the comments right now. I want to know who's really paying attention. Freeze time for a moment and split the screen in your mind. On the left, you're deep in the jungle, maybe the Amazon, maybe a hidden valley in Sinaloa. The air is heavy, wet, almost suffocating. Diesel fumes, chemicals, damp earth. Men in mud-caked boots stir barrels in a makeshift lab, sweat dripping, nerves tight. This is raw production, violent, physical, unforgiving. Every decision here carries risk. Every mistake can cost a life. And the money? It's tangible, heavy. Pallets of cash buried underground, stuffed into walls, slowly rotting because there's simply too much of it to move. It's power trapped in paper form. But this is only the beginning. Now shift your eyes to the right side of the screen. A glass tower in Manhattan, London, Dubai, 50 floors above the street. Silence, climate-controlled air, soft keyboard clicks, marble floors, tailored suits, conversations about liquidity, exposure, and yield. No blood, no mud, no smell. And yet, here's the uncomfortable truth. This side is just as essential to the operation as the jungle. Without the skyscraper, the jungle collapses under its own weight. The violence produces value, but legitimacy is what allows it to survive. This contrast isn't accidental. It's engineered. This is where the real story lives, in transformation. The goal was never piles of dirty cash. The goal is power, legitimacy, and permanence. You can't buy influence or legacy with bills that smell like chemicals. That paper has to become numbers on a screen. Clean, fast, invisible. The journey from jungle floor to trading floor is the most advanced magic trick in the modern economy. It requires a mindset shift. The cartel leader must think like a CEO, and the banker must practice a very specific kind of blindness. But this is just the surface. We're conditioned to imagine the drug trade as street corners and speedboats. That's a distraction. The real traffic happens digitally. Wire transfers, shell companies, offshore entities, trades executed in milliseconds. Layer by layer, the dirt is washed away until what remains is a luxury penthouse, a construction project, a startup investment, industrial-scale laundering. And here's the part most people don't want to face. The skyscraper needs the jungle. When markets seize up and credit dries out, illicit cash becomes a lifeline, a steady stream of liquidity that keeps the gears moving, a dependency few will admit. But visual contrast alone isn't enough. The real mechanics sit between these worlds. This is where the enablers enter. Lawyers, accountants, real estate brokers, art dealers. They don't carry weapons, they carry contracts. They don't threaten, they structure. Their job is to build a maze so complex that the origin of money disappears. This is where legality bends without breaking, or so it appears. Picture $10 million in cash sitting in a warehouse. Deposit it directly and alarms scream. So it gets fragmented, disguised as business. Cash-heavy businesses, restaurants, car washes, clubs. Who can prove how many meals were sold today? Slip dirty money into the register, report it, tax it, and suddenly it's legitimate. Evidence becomes revenue, but that's amateur level. And this is where it gets deeper. At the highest tier, trade-based money laundering takes over. Containers shipped across borders, cheap goods declared at 10 times their value. The receiving company pays the invoice, and just like that, millions move across countries as commerce, or the reverse. Undervalued shipments to shift wealth the other way. Real cargo, real ships, fake numbers, a global shell game hiding in plain sight. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. The scale is staggering. Trillions of dollars, up to 5% of global GDP, washed every year. Housing markets distorted. Entire neighborhoods bought with anonymous cash. Governments propped up. Conflicts financed. And much of it flows through institutions that claim to safeguard the system. The banker may never meet the man in the jungle, but the numbers arrive. Forms are checked. Questions stop. Don't ask. Don't tell. This is where the illusion finally collapses. There is no clean economy and dirty economy. There is only a massive gray zone where everything blends together. Pension funds, real estate, global corporations, entangled in ways no one advertises. Once you see this, the world doesn't look random anymore. It looks structured, designed, and unsettlingly efficient. So keep that image locked in your mind, the muddy boots and the polished marble floor. Because next we're going deeper. Digital currencies, offshore havens, loopholes that never close by accident. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. The system isn't broken. It was built this way. Before we move on, pause for a second. What single word comes to your mind when you see this connection between crime and finance? Drop that one word in the comments. I want to see how you're processing this. If you want to keep seeing the truth that no one shows behind the scenes, do it now. Hit subscribe so you won't miss any of the upcoming insights we're about to reveal. And if this video resonated with you, leave a like to show that we're connected and growing together. Now, I want to see who really stayed until the end. If you're here, type, "I'm all in the comments, so I know you're part of this journey. And to wrap this up perfectly, there's a video popping up right here that complements everything we've just explored. Click it and continue this conversation with me.